Hello, all guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to the newest episode of the Noobs and Knockouts Podcast, brought to you on YouTube, on Spotify, on Google, and Apple Podcasts. I'm Austin. I'm a knockout. Watched a lot of wrestling.
I'm David. I'm a noob. Haven't watched nearly as much wrestling, and noob though I may be, today I am a bringer of knowledge. First and foremost, may I just say that we are recording this on goddamn Austin's birthday. Fucking give it up, folks. Look at this man. Get another gabagoo around the sun. We're so proud of you, buddy. Aren't we proud of him, folks?
Woohoo! I have made it again, and here I am.
We're so proud.
This is how I'm spending my birthday, recording this podcast.
Excuse you, what better way to celebrate? You, my friend, I have to say, what you told me you spent your day doing, I think feels perfectly reflective of how we were going to be spending our evening, as you spent both the day and now your evening embroiled in some facet of the American legal system.
Yeah, sure. As tonight, we return to 2005 for the ever ridiculous case of Dominick Mysterio's legal parentage and custody, as Eddie Guerrero has asserted that he in fact is he is Dom's papi. And Rey has no rebuttal to this idea, so clearly it is true.
Obviously.
And Eddie has somehow gotten a court to give him full custody of Dominick effective immediately, completely without contacting Rey or Dominick at all. And now on tonight's episode, the August 11th, 2005 episode of Smackdown, Rey is now been required to hand over Dominick to his dad.
To his true father, Eddie Guerrero.
Yes.
Goddamn right. Okay, so when last we were here, I tasked myself with a bit of homework, and Austin helped task me with this homework, as I was to go and get answers from my girlfriend about whether or not any of this holds up at all. I have obtained these answers, at least to some extent. So
I imagine she mostly was like, "This is stupid."
She actually humored me. She actually was like entertaining the hypothetical all the way through. So I first gave her a big long spiel about just the whole setup, and I asked, okay, this is a load of horseshit, right? And she goes, yes. But as I have come to, as she's basically come to make me understand it, is so very basically, the courts prioritize the child having two parents who are legally, financially responsible for the kid. Now, we encounter a problem in that, shockingly, it doesn't seem as though the WWE writers were terribly well informed about the family law system we have in America, because Amber asked me the very basic question kind of multiple times about who is currently legally responsible for the kid, and I didn't really have an answer, because we get told as part of the story that Eddie had Dom with the mamacita, and then something handed over Dominick to Rey. And that's
there was not a stringent legal process to it, the way Eddie described it.
Yes, except the problem is, according to my delightful significant other, it is rather difficult to raise a child for 8 years and just not have any papers claiming that he's yours. So she finds it highly improbable that the Mysterios just got handed Dominick by Eddie with no paper trail whatsoever.
Yeah, it's easy to understand the narrative reason why they frame it like that is because they want to make it seem relatively easy for Eddie to just reassert his own parenthood here,
Yeah.
because legally speaking, he never, for lack of a better word, handed over Dominick.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, again, is how they make it sound, and you would think that if Rey had legal papers saying Dominick were his, he could just pull that out in front of Eddie and be like, trump card, bitch. But also, like, yeah, I'm shocked to learn that you can't just like have a kid in your possession for 8 years with no papers linking him to you legally and just be able to keep doing that, at least terribly easily.
Like it does raise the question of like, does Dominick just not have a birth certificate, or if he does,
but
is
like,
it fake?
how though?
Like
All of a sudden that legal rabbit hole opens up because
it does.
in that case, Dominick's just not like a fucking legal citizen of the United States.
Like you could, like there, like if the matter was just a matter of like proof of residence and care, there would obviously at this point be some documentation of that. For example, his school records is an example. Yeah. But the problem with that is that like to get to that point, he would require at the very minimum the birth certificate.
Yeah.
And potentially the social security number as well at that point.
So like with no papers, Eddie apparently does get some priority and sway as bio dad. At least in theory. Again, this is hugely muddled by the fact that we have no fucking clue where Mamacita is.
Yeah,
so, like,
it's presumably she is not in the picture here. This is theoretically like if Dominick were to come back to the care of Eddie, it would be Eddie and his wife,
which to
Vicky,
me begs the
care
question though of how the fuck did Eddie get Dom away from Mamacita in the first place?
Well, just presumably she didn't want the kid,
but she had the kid. She gave birth to the kid. She didn't have an abortion. So
well now that gets into some sketchy territory. But presumably, I will just make the assumption that she, for whatever particular reason, didn't want to go through with an abortion, but also did not wish to keep the child for whatever personal
I thought
reason.
Eddie was framing it as she did want to keep it in some form or other, but maybe
I don't think we get any I don't think we get any real. He doesn't seem to care for her opinion on the matter. He only speaks about his own. So I just took it to be, I kind of Occam's razored it of like, what is the simplest explanation for her feelings on the matter, which is that she also did not wish to take care of the kid. Yes. And thus was perfectly okay with Eddie just handing him over to someone else.
The thing is, with no papers, the courts would be inclined to hand Dom over to Eddie and Mamacita as bio mom and dad, whose names are on Dominick's birth certificate. However, we have like Mamacita's not in the fucking picture, and like Eddie does have Vicky now, but Vicky's name isn't on Dominick's birth certificate, so that'd probably be. I didn't go down this rabbit hole with Amber, but there's probably a whole other like legal snafu there about like then getting Vicky's name on the custody papers for Dominick. But with all of that, if we apply a little more real world logic to it, Rey and his wife probably do have some papers to raise Dominick by, because again, how the fuck could you get away with that with like for like 8 years with just no papers linking this child to you?
Right.
And then ultimately like ultimately she came down with the answer of like, while it seemed like her answers indicated like Rey would probably have the stronger claim and everything Eddie's touting on SmackDown is probably a bunch of bullshit, it also depends on facts that she doesn't have knowledge of it. I'm like, yeah, well, that's what the writers
we don't either.
So Yeah, shockingly, this is probably a bunch of bull feathers. And I did ask the final question, the most important question of, okay, so if there
Oh no.
were any question about who gets custody of Dom, and then if Eddie were to just relinquish custody to Rey, say, for example, after Rey won the custody papers in a ladder match, would the courts be chill with that? Rey wins, everybody go home, the end.
I would
And
assume this is the courts just treating that as a settling out of court moment.
her response was, "You mean would the courts be chill with the custody battle decided by wrestling? Absolutely not." So there you go, folks. To everybody's surprise, this whole storyline is a bunch of legal gibberish. IRL.
I'm going to rate this from a writing quality perspective. I'm going to bring up a little bit of something from a TV tropes.
Yes. TV tropes, aka Austin's repository for all media knowledge.
That's true. Known as fridge logic. Fridge logic is called as such because it's basically something where as you go to the fridge and you're thinking back on whatever the media you just consumed, you realize it doesn't make sense. But it's something that you don't immediately know doesn't make sense. You have to, when you think about it's shorthand logic for things that don't make sense when you think about it too hard.
Yes.
And I feel like this story fits that description. As you said, based on the answers Amber gave, assuming as framed in the story, Eddie actually has a decent case because apparently there are no legal papers tying Rey.
As far as
Dominic,
they just haven't said jack shit about it, and it doesn't make sense.
Rey isn't arguing that he has the legal documentation for this. He's arguing that I raised Dominic, therefore I am his father, not you.
Like, I don't know if common law parenthood is a thing, and I decided not to bug my girlfriend who hates wrestling more about this storyline past the basic question.
So on the surface, it works well enough for a wrestling storyline. But fridge logic kicks in when you think about it and you actually consider the ramifications of Rey not having any sort of documentation that would show him as legally responsible for Dominic, and thus allowing Eddie to kind of with ease take his son back.
Yes. Again, there's also the problem of, like, the ideal situation is handing Dom over to bio dad and mom, but we also have no idea where the fuck Mamacita is. So, like,
again, Occam's razor to she doesn't want to be in the picture.
Yeah, but then that would open up a bit more of a squicky question because Mamacita doesn't exist, and the courts prefer to have two parents who are legally attached to the child.
Right.
I feel like you could, in a like legal in a law class, unironically examine this case as like a fascinating set of questions about like how family law and like parental custody rights work, because there are a lot of like blank holes that you kind of need to fill in here.
Right. Which WWE accidentally creating a wonderful case study for a law class.
Yeah. I like that. And like, I feel like one that not like a 101 law class could tackle either. Like, you need to be like in the fucking trenches, because so many questions get opened up by all the shit they've left unanswered.
Like, yeah, well, the only way you can come up with a satisfactory answer to how this should go is making assumptions that that the story does not explicitly or even implicitly give you.
Yeah, pretty much. Or like try to follow the implications of what the story leaves unanswered, like all the way down to their logical conclusion.
Correct. But the story itself is still not calling any of that into question.
Yeah.
So you are still just extrapolating and making guesses.
Yes. So at the end of the day, folks, we as we venture into the final 2 episodes, as we are in the current penultimate episode of this arc.
Mm-hmm.
You may go forth. It is my gift to you, audience, and I suppose you too, Austin, for your birthday. Happy birthday. To
Thanks.
know that
what a fantastic gift.
absolutely the gift of knowledge that this is
Is
a
that refundable?
fascinating legal case study deep dive, and also a load of horse shit.
Of course, a stupid wrestling storyline.
Just the answer is just don't think about it. That's my gift to you. Just don't think about it. Shh, it's okay. It's okay. Daddy's here.
Have you did we consider the fact that it's not necessarily that that Dominic is not necessarily that this wrestling match is for the custody of Dominic in so much as it is Eddie Guerrero willing to drop his case if he were to lose a wrestling match, because that's essentially what's actually happening.
That is like, see, that is what I meant to ask Amber as the final question, and again, I think she like slightly misunderstood me when I answered that, but again, I didn't want to like poke the hornet nest too much more of like, hey, keep talking about this dumb fuck wrestling thing with me. There's only so much violence I can get out of that, man. But
you got a lot already. Props to
I got
you.
a lot already. Yeah, beggars can't be choosers. All right.
Thank you, David's partner Amber, for indulging probably more than she's needed to of this nonsense.
Oh, she could have said no, but I do have a delightful, loving partner who can be quite nice and generous, and I'm so lucky. If I'm sure I'm gonna try to make her listen to the front half of this episode. Love you, babe. Thanks again.
She's gonna watch 15 minutes of this and make sure to never watch any edit again.
Right now, her head is in the future when I'm having a listen. Her head is turned to me, and she's like giving me a blank, disappointed stare.
Well, all right. It's all right, Amber. You're free to turn off the podcast right now, as we can now get back to wrestling.
Oh, she's so mean to me. She won't ever anyway. Now that she's gone. No,
yeah.
No, delight. Thank you to our on staff legal consultant, Amber. No,
yes.
but like that is ultimately a question of like, I suppose if Eddie like legally drops the case, then the courts have no choice, or voluntarily drops the case, the courts have no choice but just kind of like shrug their shoulders. I assume so anyway. Because like
because I would agree that obviously, like, if literally as if the court mandated this is how you're going to settle the issue, that's silly and stupid. But it probably is legally a distinct thing to be like, participate in this silly and stupid thing, and if you beat me, I will drop the case.
Yeah, like the courts don't need to know that. Like if Eddie just voluntarily like relinquishes custody of Dominic, I wouldn't be terribly surprised if the courts were just like, okay, I mean, it seems like he's in a decent enough living situation already, so if Eddie decides he doesn't actually want the kid, then goes back to Rey.
Okay.
Just sign some custody papers, motherfuckers. If Eddie's okay with this, then just sign some custody papers. We're all Gucci. But I will say that does throw in the extra final consideration for me of, since fucking when does Eddie take any losses gracefully? Like, okay, I know
the seventh loss is the one that he is gonna take gracefully.
Yeah. You know. For the sake of TV, we gotta move on from this goddamn feud. But it's so funny to me that they set up this whole story that is based purely on Eddie, like, acting like a complete and total psychopath out of spite for losing a wrestling match to Rey. And the conclusion is going to be Eddie's going to lose a wrestling match to Rey again, and then be forced to just...
That's the thing that gets through to him. is
Because
losing
that's the
again.
problem, right? Is in order to be consistent with Eddie's character, you kind of have to say that this is what makes the final legal determination and not just Scout's honor. I'll drop the case if I lose. Because Eddie Guerrero just voluntarily dropping this case after the loss doesn't fully make sense for his character. So you kind of do have to go with the assumption of, no, actually, Eddie losing this will mean he is forced legally to accept defeat because Eddie will not ever go quietly into that good night. So, like, I don't know, maybe that means backstage, if Rey wins, like, WWE legal gets involved and backs Rey up, like, basically throws all their resources in Rey's corner to force Eddie out of the picture. But there is no way, there's no fucking way that Eddie is just, like, Scout honoring this. So, I think ultimately, even if, like, ultimately, like, Amber misunderstood the question I was trying to ask, I think the answer she gave does kind of point to the final stupidity of this, because it would have to be a legal decision, because otherwise Eddie Guerrero wouldn't fucking take it.
Yeah, I suppose this is an example of writing yourself into a corner, in the sense that Eddie's entire character is fixated on the idea of loss.
Yeah.
And therefore losing again doesn't really logically make sense as to why this time it's going to get through to him to stop being a fucking weirdo. But at the same time, the circumstances of this final confrontation make it that realistically Eddie can't win, because we are talking about the custody of someone else's child. Obviously, Rey is going to win and get custody back and definitively get custody of his own son.
Yeah.
Therefore, Eddie can't just win the match and then realize, oh, I've been a dick this whole time, haven't I?
Pretty much. But like, so like, I would like to see, like, the ideal version of this is one in which during the final match Eddie has a come to Jesus moment before Rey winning. But I somehow doubt that, given who Eddie Guerrero is as a character, and given the fact that I know that after this angle, this motherfucker has a bit where he's, like, riding in on a convertible with fucking Batista wearing an I'm Your Poppy shirt, I somehow doubt this is going to end with Eddie having a come to Jesus moment. I could be wrong. There could be some cards you're not showing me in your hand of pre-knowledge about this. But I am going to press X to doubt that Eddie actually has, like, any kind of face turn on this.
At least not one that makes any sense.
Yes, yeah.
So, I think that's enough of time. I think we've fully dissected
Absolutely
Eddie and Rey where we're at now. So other things going on SmackDown right now. We had a contract signing between JBL and Batista for SummerSlam, where JBL was an idiot and just asked and had with the ability to pick any kind of match at SummerSlam. He just was like, pick a hardcore match and not.
Yeah, he's still giving Batista a fair shake.
Yeah, he's still giving Batista a fair shot at winning the match, as opposed to just literally stacking the deck in his own favor, because he could pick any type of match he wanted.
God, that'd been so sick too. There's so much potential you could have gotten out of that, and like Batista then needing to find some way to weasel out of it. Like, fuck, if these writers ever thought about any of their concepts in this era for more than 5 seconds, we could actually get some, like, really thought-provoking questions out of it.
Makes me appreciate that in 2020, Dolph Ziggler challenged Drew McIntyre and did actually take advantage of the situation of, like, I can pick whatever kind of match I want. Okay, well, you have to win with a 5 count, and I can break all the rules and you can't break any of them.
That's actually genius. That's actually a smart thing to do. And
now, of course, it was Dolph Ziggler, so he still lost. But I was like, holy shit. I have complained. I have complained about the idea that heels never do this for years, and then a heel does it.
Yeah, and like that does create like the ever interesting predicament of, oh, how is my hero gonna get out of this one this time? Like Drew does have to find some way to overpower or weasel out of that. Whereas here JBL is just like, oh yeah, hardcore match, which gives Batista a completely fair shake and arguably could give Batista a fucking edge because it's goddamn Batista.
Yeah, you could argue, well, that just means JBL's cabinet can interfere for him. Except from what we've seen, Batista can easily solo his entire group of flunkies. So it's not like it's actually helping.
Yeah, no, but Batista's power levels here are too fucking off the charts for this to be any kind of remote threat. Ugh, stupid.
Yeah, but there was no fighting after the contract signing.
I know! That's the ultimate, like, cherry shit on top of the shit cake. Of like, we didn't even get a fight sequence out of it. What kind of fucking contract signing bit doesn't have a goddamn fight after it? Oh my god, they're just doing everything wrong here. And they called themselves the Ruthless Aggression Era. What a load.
Nothing more ruthlessly aggressive than just signing a contract calmly and not fighting afterwards.
A contract that you could have, that you were given permission to be a jackass about, and then you just didn't.
Didn't.
Yep. And not even for any good reason. Like, it's not like JBL's fucking principled. It's JBL. No.
Yeah. He held the WWE title for 10 months, weaseling his way out of every match imaginable.
Yeah, absolutely. Fucking my fucking man would be like, "Oh, you bleeding heart Kennedyite liberals want me to give this guy a fair shake? Fuck
okay, that. I will.
America. Okay, I will." JBL, the most reasonable Republican.
Apparently.
Goddamn. Okay, that's just fine.
All right.
Goddamn, JBL belongs to local politics. JBL doesn't belong like with a fucking faux presidential cabinet. He belongs as like an actually fair and balanced TMCR city council member.
Hey. All right. Other stuff going on SmackDown. Randy Orton came back and fucked with The Undertaker because apparently losing one whole WrestleMania match has ruined his entire legacy, and therefore he must get revenge on The Undertaker.
Another running theme, losing a single match and going on a psychotic spite feud about it.
Yeah. The tag team, Eminem, are once again number one contenders for the tag titles.
God damn. Hey,
and, hey Melina, we are back to you, aren't we?
We keep she just keeps being, well, I guess she made one extra appearance. She's not fucking appearing on Lucha Underground past her single appearance, but no, you know,
she will never be back.
It was cute. Hey Melina, hey Johnny, how you doing? How's that chick with the mole?
Jillian Hall, Joker posted after like 2 weeks.
Oh my fucking god. God, again, concept that could have had such interesting stuff done with it if they had, like, fucking gone anywhere past it, aside from, haha, woman uggo.
That mole is ugly and you're laughing and you think that's funny? And
then the entire writer's room just does, yes.
Yeah, I do, and I'm tired of admitting, and I'm tired of pretending that I don't.
Yeah,
that I don't.
I'm tired of pretending that I don't. and then she shoots Vince McMahon in the face.
Of course, that's exactly how that goes.
If fucking only.
And then, on the other side, Animal is slowly giving Heidenreich more Road Warrior traits like a buzz cut and face paint.
It's like watching a fucking slow conversion of Anakin into Darth Vader. Like, my man's getting just all the fucking Road Warrior shit grafted onto him over time. And I'm still, after all this time, fucking salty that they implied that Heidenreich, goddamn, Heidenreich, potential unfrozen Nazi Heidenreich, is better at wrestling makeup than I am. Fuck that. I hate that they implied that Heidenreich can do that makeup in like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
This is fuck all the like legal realism to the Eddie Ray thing. My suspension of disbelief was broken when they asserted that Heidenreich could do the Road Warrior makeup in like the span of a commercial break.
Yeah, little ridiculous, if I may say so.
Boy, I sure hope somebody got fired for that blunder.
For that blunder. So last episode we joked about how fillery and bad the episode was. 3 whole matches. Hopefully there will be more matches on this episode.
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if there were not.
That's true. There might not be.
Just leave it there. There could be even fewer. You never know. It's fucking wild west.
No! They just keep finding less. They just keep finding ways to have less matches.
Well, you like having only 3 matches? You didn't like having only 3 matches on the last card? Well, that's just fine. How about having only 2? No! Amazing. Honestly, it's just exciting to try to imagine. You use one's powers of imagination to think, man, what the fuck could they possibly use to fill a bunch of time with this time? What extraneous bullshit could they throw in there? Only time will tell. Maybe
we have to watch. On this note, maybe we someday have to watch the episode of Monday Nitro, where it's a 3-hour Nitro, to be clear. The entire first hour of the show had no wrestling matches, seemingly to prove that you could in fact do a wrestling show like that, and then the ratings were complete ass.
Wow, no fucking way. You mean to tell me that people tuned in for wrestling and then tuned out when there was not in fact wrestling? Fuck. What are you even, what the fuck is the audience even for? Wrestling fans are fickle.
They are. But yeah, clearly sometime we should watch the episode of Nitro just to see how they filled an entire hour without wrestling.
I want to find that single episode of wrestling that is out there somewhere where there's not a single goddamn match on the entire episode. Somewhere out there.
I kind of want to see if I can find something that isn't just a clip show, because that's obviously
there's no way. There's no actual way. I'm mostly memeing here, but also if you told me that sometime in the early 2000s they like pre 3-hour Raws, they ran a Raw where there was actually no fucking actual matches on the card, I would not be the most surprised person in the world. I would be a little surprised, but I would not be extremely surprised if they were like, actually, there's one episode of Raw from like the 2000s with not a single real goddamn match on it.
Now, there have been episodes of Raw with hysterically small amounts of wrestling on it.
Well, yeah, that's just Raw, and SmackDown too, but that's also just Raw.
Especially SmackDown these days. Raw has got, especially with the game in charge, Raw's going a lot deeper, and fuck, we got 3 hours to fill. Just have long matches or something.
Damn. Wow. No way. In a fucking invasion of the century. God damn. No, but yeah, who'd have thunk it would take an actual fucking wrestler to make a change like that? Jesus. No, but like, you mean to tell me that modern SmackDown with like all the like melodrama they got going on with the Rey Dominick thing and the Sami Zayn being part
Roman
of the
gotta have Roman gotta have 30 minutes to monologue every episode. So you gotta start.
Not only does Roman gotta have his 30 minutes to monologue, now we also throw Sami Zayn being a part of the bloodline into the mix, and like every episode gotta like have more developments on that. So like there's already a fucking hour gone. Like, goddamn. The fuck are we gonna do with the rest?
One of the storyline's really good, but don't worry, nothing else will be.
Nothing.
We just don't have time.
Yeah, who's got time for other shit? I mean, to be fair, everyone and their mother is apparently raving about how like Sami Zayn joining with the Usos in the Bloodline is actually like one of the most brilliant story things that WWE has ever done, which is such a wild thing to think about. But
Well,
also,
clearly I know what our next arc has to be.
hell fucking yeah. No. If we're doing any modern WWE arcs, it has to be Dominic becoming Rhea Ripley's sub. I will not take anything else.
Make a good way to cycle it all back around.
Absolutely. Thematic
as
cohesion, Austin. That's what we're fans of on this show.
as tonight we continue the story of the custody of Dominick Mysterio.
Absolutely, it's been it's an ever asked. It is a question, Austin, that the universe dictates be asked every few years. You know, of like, who does Dominick Mysterio really belong to? Some say Eddie Guerrero. Some say Rey Mysterio. Some say Rhea Ripley.
Who is Dominick's daddy? We already know the answer, and it's neither of these two men. But they're going to fight over it anyway.
Honestly, based. I think the answer to anyone asking who's your daddy should be Rhea Ripley.
Fair. It's a fair answer.
It's a very fair answer.
But back to tonight. Tonight, yes, we will again watch the August 11th, 2005 episode of SmackDown. Our last episode of SmackDown that we're going to watch before SummerSlam.
Oh, shit. Penultimate episode. Fuck. We're almost done, boys. We got 2 more left.
Yep. But for now, we are going to see what happens when Eddie tries to forcibly take Dominic back.
I wonder where this is going to lead.
Yep. And so you want to watch along with us, Peacock, NBC Universal's streaming service is the way to go with that. Not going to bother to read the prices off anymore because I don't care.
Don't give a shit.
You can do that research on your own.
Yeah.
However, again, you want to watch along with us, you can do so on Peacock. And in the back half, we'll be back to discuss more of 2005 SmackDown.
Oh, yeah, brother.
And we are back. We have finished the August 11th, 2005 episode of SmackDown. I will go ahead and open this time by saying that, you know, last time we talked about how it felt fillery and boring. And I don't think this episode had any more significant plot progression, but it was about 10 times more insane.
Yeah, it was definitely more like, I did not feel as deeply existentially bored as I did last time, to be sure. It was still, don't get us wrong, audience. Filler, aside from the Rey
outside
stuff.
Of the Rey and Eddie stuff, which is hitting a crescendo right
and
now.
What a hell of a crescendo it is, but goddamn. It managed to keep the pace brisk, and then sustained what it needed to sustain. Again, mostly the Rey and Eddie stuff.
Yeah, I had a real realization because this episode is set in Columbus, Ohio this week.
Yeah,
and it's like if my mother had not been so insistent that I not get into wrestling when I was a child, I could have been at this episode of SmackDown as a 10-year-old. I could have been at this episode. And I'm like, this is the insane nonsense I would have seen live.
I can only imagine how that must feel to you. Like, the existential dread, I can only imagine that fills you with, to know that you had the potential to, like, witness this. How does that feel?
It feels deeply uncomfortable.
Something just feels wrong inside, you know?
Yeah.
Absolutely. As it should. I forget, have we watched on this show any of the shows that you have actually been to?
No.
We got to do that someday.
We probably should. I don't think I've ever really been to any shows that are like worth going back to.
I mean,
but
yeah,
you
it'd be a
know,
fun exercise just to like
it would be
room where it happens.
Yeah. I could talk about vaguely if I remember anything from being there live. Remember any of this?
Which
something
is funny
to consider
because like in terms of shit that I've been to a house show which doesn't get televised. And then I've been to fucking Blood and Guts, which we could totally make an arc out of.
Nah, and we could have. No, we mine all of your live shows for content.
True. This is true. Oh shit, you're right. We've already done content of my live shows. So like now it's your. I mean, they are your live shows too, but like now it's really your turn, motherfucker.
That's true. All right. But as for the show we watched tonight, so
we open with the standard SmackDown opener, which I have to say, the more
I won't be denied.
It's so wild, this opener. The more I watch it, like you always call out the white background, and like, yeah, that's a lot, but like we get like some kind of like goofy shots interspersed. I can't remember all of them. The one I always take note of is like Booker like coming up and looking at his hand and like it's a surprise that his hand is there. Now, I know this is a call out to like a pop that he does. However, if this is your first ever time watching wrestling with no context, then I said this very pronounced clip of this dude popping up into frame, looking at his hand, which is in a vague claw formation facing him, and him being like, what the fuck? Like, wild. And then just like, every time a woman is on screen during this opener, it's just like, hey, did you know that SmackDown has boobs?
It's boobs.
And a couple butts, too. It also has some butts.
Melina is always there to supply the ass.
Melina's always, Melina is there to make sure you get your daily helping of booty.
Make sure that you get the A. Make sure you get the A as well as the T.
Absolutely. Putting in the work before New Day. That Melina walked so New Day could run.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, so we are indeed at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus, and off the bat, the big thing tonight is that Chapter 3 of Eddie's bedtime story, and Cole and Taz are, clearly still kind of like, man, this whole thing's kind of weird. But while they're sounding like slightly morose about it, goddamn, the graphics team is getting really cheeky about the fucking promotional graphics for this particular feud.
They're enjoying themselves.
Like, did you notice that? How, like, the Chapter 3's got this, like, kind of crayon font to it, and and like, the letters are, like, dancing around. And, like, Eddie and Rey kind of have, like, filters over them that make it all look, like, kind of, like, cheeky and hunky-dory. It's like, you motherfuckers.
I'm glad you guys are enjoying the drama of it all.
Yeah, I'm glad the graphics team is really enjoying this, like, deeply personal family drama that's going on.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be honest, I completely forgot that he mentioned Chapter 3 in the promo last time. I was like, I didn't realize they had already knew coming in that, like, oh yeah, this is Chapter 3 of the story.
Of course. They there's always gotta be, Austin, another chapter. Eddie's got to keep the story going until Dominick comes home. I actually wouldn't be surprised if after Eddie somehow successfully got Dominick home, he just kept bringing chapters of it to TV just to rub it in Rey's face. Like,
he has more chapters.
Last night, Dominick and I had meatloaf.
Would be a bit of a disappointing chapter.
And Rey's just there like, you motherfucker.
Yeah, so we open with a match, incredibly. There are actually a ton of matches on this show.
Witchcraft. Now, are any of them particularly important matches? No. But goddamn, we actually do have matches.
Yeah, so it is Booker T versus Joey Mercury. We get one of Eminem going solo this time.
I know, that feels weird. Well, one of Eminem not named
That
Johnny
isn't
Nitro.
Yeah. That's not Nitro. We get Joey Mercury.
I didn't know Joey Mercury was capable of going solo. I kind of assumed it was like a fucking Ice Climbers thing from Smash, where like one of them is the PC Ice Climber, and the other one's the NPC Ice Climber, and like
and Joey Mercury is the NPC Ice Climber.
Yeah. So like if the PC Ice Climber dies, the like NPC Ice Climber faffs around for 2 seconds and then just like poofs off the screen.
All right, I got to be honest with you. We talk about tag teams a lot in terms of Marty's, the Jannetty and the Shawn, usually, especially in a breakup context.
Yeah.
But the idea being, of course, a member of the team being significantly better than the other member.
Yeah.
I think we need to retire that for instead, who is the PC Ice Climber and who is the NPC Ice Climber?
It's the perfect comparison, Austin. For example, goddamn, whenever FTR breaks up poor Cash Wheeler's NPC Ice Climber.
Cash Wheeler's definitely the NPC Ice Climber to Dax Harwood.
I love FTR and I love Cash Wheeler and I would love to see him have like a fruitful fucking career too. But let's be honest, Dax Harwood, just by virtue of like being a good-looking bald man with a nice mustache, has just catapulted himself into like to PC Ice Climber status, just because the bald with the mustache is a more iconic look than the mullet.
Yep, very, very much. This is very true. So tonight is Booker T and Joey Mercury one-on-one. They come during Melina's entrance. Taz tonight says this is why it's important for young people to have flexibility.
What does that even mean?
So they can get down like Melina.
I hate it. Speaking of Taz commentary that I hate, my man, of course, immediately goes right back out with the fucking Jillian Mole posting.
Now, they again start talking about the concept of fixing the mole. Get it? Because she is a fixer.
My god, they have so many. I noticed this episode. They have so many dumb fuck like fixing puns. I put puns in heavy quotations because they're really just like different use of the word fix that everybody who like wrote for this angle somehow seems to find deeply funny and clever.
And by, of course, whoever wrote for this angle, of course, is a euphemism for Vince McMahon. Vince after 3 weeks, Vince has finally come up with a satisfactory list of fix jokes. Yeah. And therefore, we're shoving them in.
He got his fill of writing food jokes for Taz. So he's like, what's next in my comedic brilliance? Well, she's a fixer. Guess we gotta make jokes about her fixing things. Maybe I'll bring a dog on stage for her to neuter one of these nights.
She's a fixer.
She's a fixer.
But I will say is that Taz did bring back one of his rants from last week, though, as Michael Cole is like, what if she fixed it with surgery? And Taz like, well, I talked about this last week. Get a blowtorch.
That's fucking repeating material. My man, has the well runneth dry so quickly that you have to go back talking about like Lansing or
That's
Laser.
what happens when you don't shut up about this for 2 weeks. You quickly run out of material.
Taz learned a hard lesson this week about pacing yourself.
He did.
Oh my god. Yeah. So while we're watching the Taz Tight 5 about Melina's mole, there's also a match going on in the background.
Okay. The funniest thing in this is the beginning of the match where Johnny Nitro, while they're getting set up, it's for the match, Jillian jumps up on the apron and distracts the ref. Johnny Nitro immediately runs into the ring to interfere. Booker T smacks him in the face, and then the ref turns around and throws Johnny Nitro out of the match for interfering.
Dumbfuck was so bad at interfering that he got himself ejected immediately. Again, don't, as the PC Ice Climber, try to do the NPC Ice Climber's job, you idiot.
Yeah.
And then
the ref
fucking Melina gets ejected too.
No, not Melina. Jillian Hall.
Jillian, that's what I mean. Fucking Jillian gets ejected too.
Now, in my notes, I wrote Jillian thrown out for standing on the apron menacingly, but
she's
standing
there
menacingly. I love that one. Yeah. You show Patrick Starr a picture of the mole.
It's just sitting there.
Down there, kid. It's just a drawing.
It's just calm down, son. It's just a shitty prosthetic.
Yeah. All right, but Jillian was helping to interfere. So the ref, being the smartest he's ever been, also throws her out, leaving only Melina.
Vince watches on in horror as this ref actually gets shit right, and he's like, "Who was responsible for drugging him today? Fucking, you're fired.
You are fired. Get out of here.
He noticed too much. He knows too much. We gotta kill him." Yeah. So
we gotta send him back to referee reprogramming.
You will fall for interference every time. Yeah. So dumbfucks Jillian and Johnny get themselves ejected exactly immediately, leaving poor Johnny Mercury on his own at the mercy of Booker T, who just kind of clowns on him.
Yeah, it's basically the match. There is a little bit of back and forth to it, but mostly a little bit. I said a little bit, but it's like they acknowledge that Booker T is a former world champion and Joey Mercury is not. So
Joey Mercury looking like a wandering NPC in a video game right now.
Yeah, Booker T mostly kicks his ass.
Pretty much, yeah.
We get the absolutely stupid line of Booker T does the spin-a-rooney, and Michael Cole goes spin-a-rooney, Ohio State style. What does that mean? It's the exact same spin-a-rooney as always. Is it because he did it in Columbus? Is that why it's Ohio State style? Cole?
Man, if you had like a Michigan fan on commentary, they'd probably like make some snarky comment about like it's Ohio State style because Ohio State never does anything on its own, or I don't know, some dumb fuck about Ohio State's bad actually. But like they couldn't even manage that. They were just like, yeah, Ohio State style by doing it exactly how he always does. Thanks, Cole.
But in Columbus. Yeah, so Booker T hits the bookend, goes for the pin. Melina jumps up on the apron, jumps to distract. Sharmell runs over to punch Melina in the nose, and then Booker T hits the axe kick for the win. Relatively easily.
They make some comment on commentary this time about how like Booker T has wised up since last time about Eminem's fuckery and like.
I mean, did he really wise up? He just the two of them got thrown out for being stupid, and then his wife handled the third one. So I don't really think he smartened up to anything.
I mean, he kicked out this time, I guess, but I don't know if that like comes down to cleverness. He just got a little lucky this time. But yeah, fucking of course the ref's still missing like Melina to kick out. Also fucking we're definitely getting at this point when Sharmell came around, I definitely I immediately was like, okay, so we're getting like Sharmell versus Melina at some point coming down the pike, right? And like, oh, we'll get there. Also,
basically, yeah.
I really have to shout out too just how deep down my fucking Ice Climber joke goes, because goddamn Cole is like, he makes a comment about how the Fixer and Joey got sent back to the locker room. Even Cole just assumes that the not NPC was actually going to be the one in the ring tonight. Like, Joey's just that forgettable. He's right there in front of Cole in the ring, and Cole's actively commentating on him, and he still gets it wrong who the fuck it is.
Yep. And phenomenal.
That was great.
So tonight, we get the announcement that Randy Orton will be returning to action.
In action, which I was like, oh, jobber squash. Again, we'll get
well,
there. Yeah.
Kinda was, wasn't it, in a way?
Well, we'll talk about it. I'm sure it'll be a totally standard match that Taker won't feel like showing up to at any point.
So then we get the second ever edition of the Peep Show.
The Peep Show,
the only show for the peeps by the peeps.
Yeah, okay, who the fuck exactly are the peeps, by the way?
Christian's fans are his peeps.
So how is it by the peeps? Because it seems like it's just done by Christian. Is Christian also a peep? Are the crew members who have set it up like...
Don't think too hard about this.
I want to... Because, like, I feel like it's far from the only, like, talk show that's pandered to like the fans or whatever. So like I just want to know. I'm trying to get pinned down definitions here, you know. Also, the Peep Show, which has so far only had a single installment, is, according to Christian, apparently somehow already the biggest show in sports entertainment today.
Admittedly, in 2005, there were not very many wrestling talk shows. So,
but he didn't say the biggest talk show in sports entertainment. He just said the biggest show in sports entertainment, which presumably includes like SmackDown and Raw into its legions. But somehow, after only a single episode, the Peep Show is already bigger than the fucking show that hosts it. Everyone, you know what a ratings grab the Peep Show was, actually? Everyone tuned in for that shit.
It was a new Jerry Springer, was the Peep Show.
Well,
all right, so...
the first episode was.
Yeah, actually. So Christian brings out Batista. I noticed a sign that says "Unleash the Beasta Batista," and I want to call you out for your stupid, shitty sign that doesn't make any sense because "Beasta" is not a word.
Austin's very offended by word, guys. I hope you know that.
Austin
watches Mary Poppins and skips over supercalifragilisticexpialidocious every time.
Fuck that! It's not a real word.
Stop it, Patrick! You're scaring him. Yeah.
The inventor of Fuckity-Doo Spot Festorino does not appreciate fake words like Beasta.
As we all know, Fuckity-Doo and Spot Festorino are two very extremely real words. But
they are.
The existence of words notwithstanding, I also got to make a comment about how Christian calls, he calls out the animal Batista. I gotta say, it's gotta get a little confusing to have both the animal Batista and Road Warrior Animal on the same payroll. Like, I wonder if like Road Warrior Animal heard that shit and he's like, wait, fuck, am I supposed to be on the Peep Show right now? Shit, fuck. And then he sees Batista goes on, he's like, oh yeah.
Oh, other animal.
Yeah, other animal. They gotta wear like shirts to Animal 1, Animal 2. No other way to differentiate them. Anyway, yeah. So
Christian was like, okay, hey, Big Dave.
Yeah, I didn't realize like we were allowed to acknowledge like Dave Batista's real name in this when he was on TV.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes they would be like Dave.
That's what, it's because the reason I thought that was because like they spell his name as a wrestler different than how his last name is actually
spelled. They get rid of the U.
They get rid of the U.
Batista, not Bautista.
So I thought it was just supposed to be like, his name is Batista. So hearing them acknowledge that his first name is Dave is like, okay, guess you just change his name just because. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Vince really just needs the letter U, brother.
Mm-hmm. So Christian is like, I bet you're wondering why I asked you out here tonight. And it's because I don't have a match at SummerSlam. And some random fan pipes up and yells, that's because you suck!
I missed that, but that's great.
Phenomenal. But Christian's like, but Batista, you have a match against JBL in a no-holds-barred match for the World Heavyweight title. So what did you think I was going to do? Sit on the sidelines, twiddle my thumbs, play pocket pool?
Yeah, okay.
And
So something I want to bring up about that comment, I can't tell if pocket pool in the year of our Lord 2005 is a euphemism or just one of those little handheld
yes,
games you played back before we had smartphones.
no, I'm pretty sure he's referring to like playing with his testicles, and
See,
not the test fans. Not those testicles.
yeah, again, those because those would be his testicles. Those would be testicles. Whereas Christian has his peeps, and they're not
Yep.
Test's peeps because Test has his testicles.
Yep, that all made sense. But
I
yes, that
fucking
is
hate wrestling, dude.
yeah, it's the worst, isn't it? But that is what he meant by pocket pool.
I got the feeling, but again, I could also see Christian just like grumpily playing like one of those little like fucking like 8-bit black and white handheld games that was like a pool game, or like one of those fucking like handheld like
somebody should have made like a cheap handheld game.
I promise you that exists. I promise you.
I'm not gonna Google it, so that will be your job if you want to know.
There's a Game Boy Color game called 3D Pocket Pool. I'm gonna choose to believe that's what Christian was referring to.
Of course. So Christian challenges Batista to a match tonight to prove himself worthy of a match at SummerSlam.
Yes, that's how that works. Christian.
This is kind of weird because it feels like I like am sympathetic with Christian because like he's not even trying to make a case that it's unfair that Batista has a match at SummerSlam or whatever. He's not being like, what about me? Why am I not in the world title match? He's just being like, I want a match at SummerSlam. Can I have a match at SummerSlam? I will do whatever it takes to prove I should have a match at SummerSlam,
Yeah,
even
Christian's
if it means
really
challenging the champ.
And I will give him this too. Asking Batista for a match is a hell of a step up from him just like beating up his last guest that was on this show. He's really learning a lot about talk show etiquette. Rule number 1 in talk shows: you don't beat up your hosts, or you don't beat up your guests.
Yeah.
Normally.
And then Batista just is a dick. First he goes like, "Are you talking to me?" And I'm like, "Oh, so this is a catchphrase."
So yeah, so the fucking taxi driver thing is actually a catchphrase for him. What the fuck?
Yeah, so Christian is like, "Yeah, I'm talking to you, you shaved ape. It is time for me to take control of my career." And as he says this, Batista takes the mic away.
Yeah, dude, Batista's just such a dick about it. Like,
yeah, then he's really weird, and he's like, you need an attitude adjustment.
Batista with the U's, clearly satisfied with how his De Niro impression has come along, has decided to start work on a Hogan impression.
Yeah, and then he says, "Do you honestly think these people want to see me kick your ass again?" And then they cheer.
And of course the people
and
go,
then,
yeah!
And then he repeats himself. So then he repeats himself and gets cheered. And then he goes, "Okay, I guess tonight I'll kick your ass again." And
yay!
Honestly, I have talked about before about the John Cena Star Wars promo. And I thought that before that was the worst top babyface promo I've ever heard in my life. Mm-hmm. And then I heard Batista tonight.
Really?
Who said, are you talking to me? That stupid you need an attitude adjustment thing. And then he just said, do you really think these people want me to kick your ass again? 3 times. It was awkward and cringe the entire time.
I'll be honest, I wasn't terribly fazed by it because I was just like, yeah, this reads like just because Batista to me is just wrestler the wrestler.
But it felt like I was supposed to think he's cool.
Yeah.
watching this. At least John Cena is kind of corny intentionally.
Yeah, at least he kind of leans into it.
This, like, I'm supposed to think Batista is the coolest badass ever, and this is the promos he's cutting. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, see, I'm just I don't know. I'm just kind of like, yeah, this feels standard of like of Batista just kind of says shit and it's all kind of just generic. I am a big wrestler boy. Like, this man got propelled to the top of the company purely on the fact that he's like a mountain with somewhat decent charisma. That's it. Like, my man's got no personality outside of I am a wrestler. I am a big boy. Rawr. So to me, I was just like, yeah, this feels like standard. To me, like, the Cena Star Wars thing just reaches a whole other level of cringe. But I can see where you're coming from. I don't know. I just kind of feels like, yeah, this feels about on par with what I would expect from a Batista.
That's fair. We get this next after this, the second match of the show. I wrote LOD versus some jobbers, I'm sure, because I wrote that before they even announced who they were wrestling.
Yeah, LOD in action. Sure, a whole lot of action tonight.
And I made a note, no Heidenreich arm thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's not doing
He is assimilating into the Road Warrior crap so
True.
much. He didn't do the ridiculous arm high-hoing.
The ridiculous. We can't have him hiling, but we still want him doing something with his arms. So this is what you get.
I was like, oh, this is disappointing. And
I will say, conspicuous in his absence for me, though. Speaking of Heidenreich's assimilation, is he still don't got the fucking spiky football gear that the
that's the last step.
That's the
he's gonna get the shoulder pads.
He's still got to go through final initiation, the very cartoonishly spiky football shoulder pads.
Mm-hmm. They cut to Eminem watching this match in an oval TV in the wall of the interview area that I didn't even know existed.
What the fuck is this Disney World ride Q-line ass TV?
I was trying to think of a funny way to describe it, and you knocked it out of the park.
Immediately where my mind went to, because it's like on this weird like fake pseudo cement wall with just like this random fucking like oval cut into it, like with a TV behind it that clearly has like, it's not an actually oval shaped TV. There's just like a fucking oval cut out in front of it, and like there's thematic lighting in like the background, like the hallway leading up to it. It just looks like they're fucking in line for Test Track or some shit. Okay,
if that video played long enough, we would start to hear the history of SmackDown.
Absolutely. And they'd be like, now you need to get in the ring yourself and help Batista win against
they would have some corny skit of like Batista and JBL or Randy Orton or somebody to set up the event.
Oh yeah, and then you go hop in your ride vehicle, which is shaped like a fucking ring, like it's
or it's shaped like the fist that is on the stage.
Oh my god! Please, the fucking that stupid ass eyesore giant Smackdown fist statue that punches through the wall above the entrance ramp. What is that? That's the dumbest, corniest bullshit. Looks like you're going to a fucking Disney on Ice show with that shit. What is that?
Well, you see, SmackDown loves fisting. I think that needs to be.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Clear. I'm like, man, that is a fist going through a hole.
So back to our match, I guess. It's a squashy squash, but they do talk about like David bringing up the continuity problem here of like they're talking about Animal being like he's not here to make friends except with Heidenreich, and Heidenreich just really needed a friend. And it's like, but what about Michelle McCool?
Her name is Michelle McCool.
Yeah, it's actually amazing how much she has completely dropped off the face of the earth for this. Like, she was there that first week we watched SmackDown, and then we transitioned to this story arc of he's joining the LOD now, and she is just gone.
She just, which, like, fuck, that could have been so interesting to throw Michelle McCool into the mix. Again, if they thought about any of their concepts for more than 2 seconds, you could actually get kind of compelling TV out of it. What is happening?
No, we're just gonna be chaotic random. This is
I think I remember saying shit like this too about, like, Attitude Era, or about fucking, like, 2001 Ruthless Aggression Era. Like, 2005 SmackDown is also where good ideas go to just fucking die.
This is like LOL so random before that was a thing.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, LOD absolutely picks the jobbers apart because of course they do, and somehow Taz and Booker are both very amazed by this.
Yeah, they are so impressed that the Legion of Doom keep beating up jobbers in like 2 minutes.
I gotta say, like,
admittedly, that was also how that worked with the OG Road Warriors in the 80s.
Kind
of went the same way for the most part.
It's like poetry. It rhymes. Fucking.
No!
I do have to say, in terms of jobber squashes, I feel like the LOD thing, the LOD 2.0 jobber squashing here was actually, like, it wasn't egregious. Like, I feel like I can track a solid progression of in-ring chemistry between when Heidenreich and Animal first kind of, like, met up to now. So I will say, like, using the jobber squashes to kind of show a progression in their teamwork synchronicity, that's actually not the worst use of your jobber squash. It's actually one of the better ones, I have to say. So I'll always meme on jobber squashes and teams or wrestlers being in action, but you know what? Not the worst use of it. Carry on.
Sure. We get the ad. You know, this episode has been brought to you by
the biggest fucking the SmackDown this week by only the finest of their industries, which
I only bring up to make fun of because I'm like, what the fuck are these?
No, excuse you, leaders of their industries: Nike, DreamWorks, this Red Eye movie rated PG-13, and
what the fuck is that?
And Tag Body Spray
for men. What the fuck is Tag?
For men, specifically formulated to drive women wild. I wonder how
Tag you're it, but as a spray. I don't know.
It's stupid.
Okay, so we get a video from earlier tonight where the Mysterios are arriving and they are really sad. I wrote Rey Mysterio in a black funeral mask.
Oh my god. Oh, it's really funny. He's wearing, like, normal ass clothes. He's got kind of like a normal non-wrestle drip going. Like, he's got the button-up shirt and nice pants and everything. But his mask is just fucking raven black. I didn't realize that was, like, the proper morning dress code for luchador, obviously. But yeah.
All right, and then they do the video package doing the hot recap of the feud, which I noted. Damn, they're going hard on the voice distortion effects.
I gotta say, like, the video package is overlong, and dear God, they're going hard on, like, the heavy-handed mood music. Like, it shows, like, Ray's plea to Eddie last week, and it's all, like, sympathetic and moving, and then it switches to Eddie and the music goes and Eddie's like, oh man, you had me go there, and then they just play out pretty much the rest of Eddie's monologue from the previous week, and as they do so, a pitch shift effect just gets applied to his voice with the rate of molasses. It just slowly pitch shifts down as he keeps talking for another like 2 minutes, and like a fucking like heavier and heavier video filter comes over it to be like, oh, it's all spooky or whatever. And I gotta say, it's overlong, it's goofy, it's heavy-handed, but at least to my estimation, it also kind of worked because how unhinged this video package does do a great job of reflecting just how deeply fucking unhinged Eddie has become over this entire thing. So
It's true.
For once, the whatever kid they had fucking in the editing room playing around with Windows Movie Maker for these video packages, he broke and clock posted on this one. The over edited bullshit actually kind of worked this time. God damn, that is two kind of like reluctant golf claps I've given Smackdown for their like dumb bullshit actually kind of working out. I hate this. This feels icky. Help.
Yeah, so we cut straight away to Teddy Long being on the phone with somebody. I admit I didn't really catch the name. I don't know who he's talking to. But here comes Randy Orton to bitch, as Randy Orton is mad because he doesn't know who his opponent is for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm the future. It's all about me. Why do I not know who I'm going to face? And Teddy is like, well, Randy, since you like surprise appearances so much, I got a surprise for you. And Teddy is like, you're not going to know who you're facing tonight. But I'll tell you, is that your opponent is a legend and a legendary opponent of The Undertaker.
Which, based on who we get for this, that's a piece of history I didn't know. I'll have to ask you about.
Well, he did fight The Undertaker. I don't know if I'd say it was legendary.
Did they have a series of matches at all?
Probably, but you know, it's not. He isn't in the Undertaker, you know, lore.
Rogues Gallery.
The Rogues Gallery. That's the right word for it. He's not really in the Undertaker Rogues Gallery that people remember. But Randy Orton comes out and his opponent is KAMALA, the Ugandan giant.
It's like, what the fuck? And he's even being fucking escorted by Kimchi. Because Lord knows we don't have the goddamn Brooklyn Brawler doing anything else around here right now.
We are doing this gimmick unironically, completely straight in 2005.
And of course, no one bats an eye at it.
Except by now, he is no longer the big, scary African man that he was in the 80s. Now, he is comedically stupid African man. Where the gimmick is that he's a dumb guy from the jungle, so he doesn't know things.
They didn't play into it.
They didn't play into it, but like, in the 90s, when they played up this character as the lovable idiot baby face, he would literally pin people wrong. He would try to pin people while they were laid on their stomach, and Kimchi would have to be like, no, flip him over.
Did they ever do anything to explain this magnificent drop-off in his intelligence between his heel days and his face days?
No.
Of course they didn't. Why would they give a shit about continuity?
He's just a funny, ha-ha tribal man now.
Ah, yes. Don't think too hard about the racial implications. Just laugh. Just point and laugh. It's fine.
Just laugh at the man with the big belly slapping his belly.
Yeah, he likes to drum on his belly a lot. I admit I haven't seen a whole lot of KAMALA in ring, but I
doesn't drum that hard.
This
was new.
Aggressive belly drum. Okay, but here's the thing, Austin. I have questions about this whole setup because Orton goes up to Teddy Long backstage, and Orton's like, "Hey, Teddy, I'm annoyed that I don't know who my opponent is yet. What the fuck?" And Teddy Long then basically whips around and bitches at Orton for like his Orton's supposed surprise appearance tonight. Except here's the thing: Orton was announced earlier in the show as being in action.
That was the snark at how he came back and interfered with the Undertaker a couple.
Okay. I was gonna okay, never mind, because it made it sound like they didn't know that Teddy didn't know that Orton was gonna be here tonight, and I was like, I have several questions about this, which was only compounded when fucking KAMALA showed up. Like, how the hell do you get KAMALA last minute? Okay, that's a little bit that makes a little more sense. All right, fine. I rescind my cinema sinsing.
Good.
Anyway, see, I will say, when Teddy Long said that he had a legendary opponent of The Undertaker's for Orton to face down, I was really hoping it would be The Undertaker. I was really hoping. I knew it wouldn't be.
That would have been hilarious.
Deeply funny if just like fake Undertaker showed up to fight Orton as a fuck you.
I wish it had been fake Undertaker instead.
That would have been so fucking fun. Yeah, but anyway, watching KAMALA versus Randy Orton in the ring is like a particularly unhinged match from the WWE video game. Like, these two things do not look like they fit together.
Would have done this match in Legends of WrestleMania after I imported the SVR09 roster into it.
Abso-goddamn-lutely. Get you throw back a few drinks and you're like, hey, it'd be a funny match to see KAMALA versus Randy Orton.
WWE Universe mode has gone insane again.
It's on the fritz. What is this AI matchmaking?
Yeah,
when
you can tell KAMALA is a wrestler from the 80s because he has like 3 moves.
Yeah, and also like the face paint, like I remember, not the face paint, but like the face paint and the body paint, because KAMALA's got like fucking white, fake tribal paint all over his face, and then he's got like these kind of like white starbursts on his chest, like a yellow like crescent moon on his belly, and like fucking when you see that shit on the television screen in the 80s with like the 80s video quality, that shit kind of like pops a little bit with the color, and it's got like this weird kind of like oversaturated Technicolor effect. That's still there on the TV cameras in 2005. Like, literally, it just looks like you like did a weirdly good job at importing like a fucking like video file of KAMALA into a wrestling ring in 2005. It's so bizarre. Randy Orton fucking performs an RKO on KAMALA, and I feel like I've just traveled through time in the span of like 2 seconds. I've like traveled 3 decades. It's fucking weird. It's 2 decades, whatever.
Yeah, so KAMALA does big chop to head, chop to chest, headbutt. That is what he's doing.
That's all we got.
But Orton takes back control eventually, obviously. And at one point, Kimchi spends most of the match on the apron. And Randy Orton walks over, knocks his hat off, throws him into the ring, and then RKOs him.
Yeah, and I don't know if Brooklyn Brawlers ever faced off with Randy Orton, but like, honestly, in my book, that's another legend slain right there. Whether he be Kimchi or Brooklyn Brawler, Randy Orton just got a fucking twofer right there with that one. Goddamn.
So Randy takes the time to pose like a jackass, and KAMALA takes advantage and hits him with some moves, and then KAMALA hits the splash. This is the big move, the 1, 2, 3. And that doesn't work. And KAMALA then runs over to Kimchi to like yell at him to get up because I need help. And Orton goes in the corner. KAMALA runs to Orton in the corner and then like hits his head on the ring post. RKO. And then gong. The Undertaker's music hits. Lights go out. Smoke fills the ring. KAMALA and Kimchi just leave.
Yeah,
so the match ends in like a no contest.
Yeah, may I just say, Orton does not
can't even pin fucking KAMALA.
Doesn't even pin KAMALA.
This feels like some backstage politicking bullshit from back in the day. Be like, brother, KAMALA's Kamala's like, yeah, brother, I'm not putting you over, dude. We're gonna do an interference spot, and Matt's gonna go to a no contest. I'm putting you over. Kid.
Terry and I have been talking a lot about my legacy, and I feel like it's important to preserve the mystique of Kamala.
I mean, I would like to point out that Kamala in WCW refused to job to Macho Man. So
are you kidding me?
Quite frankly, he could have been like, that don't work for me, brother. I'm not jobbing to Randy Orton.
He's fighting for the fucking dignity of his legacy, and then he goes out there and drums on his belly while Brooklyn Brawler sits there in a fucking safari hat and Rorschach mask. Okay, dude.
Absolutely incredible.
What the fuck?
But we get the spooky RIP RKO video, except now the RIP turned red, and Randy Orton is absolutely horrified.
He's horrified. I gotta say, and another thing in my list of like, oh, this is actually kind of cool, is like when the Undertaker lighting hits here, it has this kind of cool effect of like everything in ring kind of gets this like really stark white outline around it, just with kind of how the lighting hits. And it's a really cool thing seeing like Randy Orton outlined in white, kneeling down in the middle of the ring, petrified in fear as like smoke rises up around him.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just cut to Eddie Guerrero.
What an incredibly quick cut. And then we're backstage.
No closure. No nothing. That's done. I wonder how the fuck they ended that in ring. Did everything cut out and then Orton just kind of
when the video, what would have happened is when the video of Eddie hits, they would have turned the house lights down and Randy Orton would have just left the ring.
Well, yeah, but it's still fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he's sitting there and it's all this dramatic, and then it just fucking smashed to Eddie.
Yep. So Eddie is in the locker room, and in comes a woman from Child and Family Services who is here to observe tonight to see who Dom should go home with. And I lost my mind at this plot point a little bit. They are at work on Smackdown.
Their ultra-violent place of work. This is the perfect place to observe Dominic.
Why would a person from a social worker observe their home life on Smackdown?
Vince pulled a few strings with the social work agency and was like, no, you got to understand. We got to do this all for the ratings, okay? Like,
this isn't a good representation of what Dom's home life is like, or what his home life would look like with Eddie, because they're on the road at SmackDown.
Yeah, but Austin, we gotta get those ratings though.
This is broke my brain. I couldn't.
Yeah, I feel like I should add in that I mentioned this to Amber, and her exact response was, I just got sent ellipses. She had nothing. She had nothing to say about this. I just got ellipses.
She can know that she has lost the plot with me. She can know that this is where I lost it.
I'm sure she'll be deeply relieved to hear that.
Okay, so Eddie I wrote distraught in quotes about all this because he assumed that she was here to just like make sure that Rey gave over the kid, and that there was no like the idea that she could be like, no, Rey keeps Dom, did not cross his mind at all. And he just is his son is having to live a lie, and she needs to see what kind of life he's living.
Eddie's so on edge right now, and it's God, fuck, he was so good on Mike, dude. Oh my god, he's so good at playing this whole situation and this
He
whole
is.
character. God damn. Like, this is fucking goofy. This is dumb, goofy bullshit. But, like, as the last huge thing for his career to go out on, goddamn, what a showcase, at the very least, of his, like, mic abilities.
Yep. So we cut back from commercial. Eddie is bringing the social worker out to the ring with him. And this is when the sign "Save it for Springer Eddie" is shown on camera. Good shit. And the social worker has this clipboard that she just occasionally apparently writes stuff on.
Yep.
And I would love to know what she was writing, what notes she was taking for this promo bit.
I can't even, I had that thought too. I can't even fucking fathom what the fuck she had to, like, say as she was in the middle of a wrestling ring while people were just incessantly chanting, "You suck, Eddie," toward all of them. I can only imagine her notes just looked like, what the fuck, this is insane, get me out of here, please help me, what have I walked myself into?
What have I done to deserve this assignment?
How did my life lead to this point? What did I have to do to deserve this awful karma? Please help, please help, please help, please help.
I'm sorry, for whatever I did that led to me being here tonight.
The existential pleading.
Big Eddie sucks chance. As I joked to you, I was like, write that down. She needs to write that down. Make sure they understand. She needs to make sure she knows. This is very important information.
Gotta get everything included.
But Eddie explains to the crowd that Miss Crabtree here, which is apparently not her actual name.
I didn't fucking catch what her name was supposed to be, dude.
I missed her name, and I just unironically called her Miss Crabtree in all my notes. But then in the middle of the speech of this promo bit, Michael Cole scoffs at the idea that Eddie gives a shit about any of this because he mentions that he doesn't even remember her name right. And I'm like, oh, so is that not her name?
He did say it like he was getting it wrong, but also I couldn't remember for the life of me what the fuck it was supposed to be, so I'm just like, yeah, maybe.
I just called her Miss Crabtree as well, just like Eddie. And
her name was social worker who doesn't deserve to be here.
No, but Eddie explains that she is here to ensure everything is going to happen just the way it's supposed to happen.
Mm-hmm.
For Dominick's best interest, of course.
Again, oh my god. The way he played, like, my man spends this whole time waffling between, like, the insane, vengeful Machiavel and, like, concerned Poppy. And, God, at this point, he's even got...
He plays it so well.
I don't even know, like... At this point, I can't entirely tell whether or not he actually gives a shit about Dominick. Because, like, he plays, like, his concern over Dominick so intensely that I can't tell if it's, like, Eddie doing a bit for the social worker, or if, like, there is a part of Eddie that has just come to legitimately care about Dominick like that. Like, if Uncle Eddie is going through...
I'd like to think that some part of him cares for real.
Yeah.
But obviously, most of this is just show, and that as the promo goes on and he keeps not getting his way, that the mask drops.
Oh yeah, this was a great, and we'll cover it more and more as we go on. But just off the bat, this is such a great promo for seeing, like, the cracks in Eddie's foundation start to really pop up.
Mm-hmm. And so Eddie wants Rey Mysterio and Angie, Rey's wife, to bring out my son, Dominick. And so they come out, and Dominick is, like, hanging on to Angie.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so Rey gets down on his knees to talk to Dominick. And he's like, don't listen to these people and come to Daddy. And Dom instead turns around and backs into Angie.
Yeah, he just turns it immediately. hugs Angie, and this gets Eddie to scream.
This is where the first crack comes, because he just turns to the social workers like, "You see what they're doing?"
Yeah,
and
Dominick goes to hug his mom, and he's like, "This is the problem.
They are corrupting his mind, filling it with lies."
Yeah. Also, he made some comment earlier about something honesty and truth, or how he tackles everything with like honesty and truth, and like, man, if only anyone ever watched SmackDown to see whether or not Eddie has any problems with honesty and truth, I feel like this social worker could have saved herself a fucking trip.
Yeah, she gets a lot tonight. So Eddie then talks to Rey, who is standing there glaring at him. He's like, I told you at the very beginning of this, I never lose. Nobody beats Eddie Guerrero. And Mrs. Crabtree is just here to assure that. And Eddie asks her to do her job and bring him his son.
Yeah, and that's kind of the running refrain he's got going throughout this whole thing.
Mm-hmm. And Mrs. Crabtree just stands there and does not say anything, as he just kind of gets more mad and more demanding to bring him his son.
Yeah. And basically Rey at this point steps up and just kind of starts to berate Eddie about like, man, what the fuck are you doing? We've been doing this whole thing, and you're just kind of in it to be a spiteful asshole because you're mad about losing, and you know, like, you're not, no one's a winner here, we're all losers here, dude. Like you and I are both suffering. Poor Dominick is fucking suffering. Angie's over here suffering. Like nobody wins in this scenario, bro. Like,
yeah, great. This was a great promo from Rey. Maybe the best I've ever seen from him.
This shit was Oscar worthy on both of their ends. Like, fucking hell. Rey and Eddie were crushing it on the mic tonight. They're kind of, like, you can tell these are two dudes who are just so familiar with each other and are so good at having chemistry together, because just the way they play off each other is deeply exhilarating and affecting, and they just boom, 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 not a hesitation between the two of them. They can just bounce off each other's ideas on mic with ease. But yeah, so Rey's over here making all these objectively correct points about, like, you know, we've been raising Dominick, you just kind of like swoop in out of spite and want to pull him back. This whole thing's kind of fucked. Everyone's suffering here. And at this point, I'm kind of starting to wonder, like, so how the fuck do we get to the ladder match from this point? Because Rey's just right. I'm starting to wonder, really, how the hell we get there. Yeah, okay.
I have so many parts to get to before we get to, you know, that part. How we get to the answer to that question. But Rey says, because of what you said, Dom hasn't said one word. He hasn't spoken to me. And Eddie says that maybe you should follow Dom's example and shut up and give me my son.
Yeah. Eddie, known fucking stoic, always hesitant to say too much, is trying to set a good example.
Rey responds with, Eddie, you've beaten addiction. I missed the second thing he said here.
You fucking, I don't remember. You've beaten all the, I think it was like you've beaten all the odds.
You've beaten all the odds.
You beat the streets.
You've beat your past and became WWE champion. I'm proud of that.
Ultimate good guy Rey, still in the middle of all this bullshit, manages to like find virtues of Eddie to extol. God damn.
But then he says that Eddie has beaten every obstacle in his path, but he hasn't beaten Rey Mysterio.
Ah, yes, rubbing it in. That's sure to help the situation. Thank you, Rey.
Well, yeah, Rey. Honest, you could argue that this was the moment. This promo and this moment was when Eddie finally dragged Rey down to his level.
Oh, easy.
And Rey says that, I wrote Rey says for Eddie shouldn't lie to himself, but Eddie goes Uno reverse card and says, you don't lie to yourself. Eddie explains that he wins tonight. He wins because by getting a precious boy like Dominic. And then
I don't like how he said that.
Rey with honestly the best line of the night, I think, is Rey talks about how you might win tonight, Eddie. You might beat me in a court of law. You might take my son away from me, but victory? You call splitting my family apart a victory?
Yeah. That line was where I was like, okay, this is Oscar-worthy shit from Rey too.
And Rey explains to Eddie that there's two things you can't lie about. There's two things you can't cheat, and there's two things you can't steal. And Rey explains that those two things are the love from my son and a victory from Rey Mysterio. And yeah, Eddie tells Rey it's over. You should just give it up. Give him up. And Rey goes, "Why don't you give up, Eddie? Because you'll never beat Rey Mysterio." And Rey says if he takes Dom away from him tonight, Eddie will never get the chance to beat Rey Mysterio. And this is when Eddie goes, "Excuse you? What are you talking about?"
Fucking Rey hitting Eddie where it hurts by saying, "Yeah, if you fucking take my son away from me, I will never fight you in the wrestling ring again." And Eddie's
like, "Now hold on a minute."
The look in Eddie's eyes as Rey said that, it's so wild. It's so cool in this arc to see Eddie, who, despite being deeply unwell, always was one step ahead, has always been one step ahead so far in this arc, and always in control, and kind of always Rey finally getting his moment to get one over on Eddie and be like, "Yeah, okay, fine. You want to prove this so bad? If you fuck me over like this, I will fuck over your legacy and never give you a chance to beat me again."
No, Rey is like, "You will go in it will say on your WWE Hall of Fame plaque, this Eddie Guerrero never beat Rey Mysterio." And Eddie goes, no, I beat you tonight because give me my son.
Eddie's like, "I'm always winning." Yeah, Eddie, again, so convinced that he has this in the bag, while Dominic is still clutching on to his mother for dear life.
Mm-hmm. And Rey says that Dom will always know his biological father was never the man that Rey Mysterio was never the father, the wrestler that Rey Mysterio is. The only thing Dom will know about Eddie Guerrero is that he's a chicken shit.
Oh, God, he swore in front of his kid. Write that down.
And Eddie takes off his jacket. He's fuming. And Rey tells him to prove that he can beat Rey once and for all. One last time for all the marbles.
One last time face to face, which oh man, that line aged like a fine milk.
Mm-hmm. One last time for all the marbles at SummerSlam. Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero for the custody of Dominic.
And it was at this point that I lost it, because are you motherfucking ding dang diddly kidding me here? After all this shit, it was Rey's idea? You fucking idiot! You had this in the bag! And he was so clearly, deeply fucking himself over in front of this referee. Not referee, the social worker. Might as well be a referee. Yeah. Fucking, just saying all of the wrong answers. You and Angie had this in the motherfucking bag. Even Amber fucking confirmed that from a legal standpoint. like, again, not entirely, because there's a lot of variables we didn't know, but more than likely, from a legal standpoint, they had this in the bag too. So why the fuck, you cocky dumbass, are you putting custody of your son on the line in a wrestling match?
I couldn't really, but we started this arc knowing where it is, and we haven't even tried to like protect the spoilers of that. But I gotta say, right, everybody knows that Eddie fought Rey for the fucking custody of his son. I could not believe my eyes or my ears that Rey Mysterio was the one who suggested that it's a custody match.
We still managed to get a twist out of this. We went in knowing what the fucking punchline was, and we still got swerved by it. Because I thought for sure, right? Like, I'm sure a lot of people who aren't familiar with this arc are, would think that, oh yeah, they did this in kayfabe because, like, it was the only alternative. Like, they were at an impasse. They couldn't reach a
that
final.
Either that or like Eddie had something over Rey. That like even if Rey was the one who offered it up, it was because Rey was just that desperate to
exactly
get out of it. Right.
I would never think
Rey did this out of cockiness. Rey did this to get Eddie to have a reaction and agree to the match. He sweetened the fucking pot.
You dumbass. He had it in the bag and he put it up to a ladder match. Holy shit. So fucking stupid.
Yeah. And obviously Eddie agrees.
Of course,
and
Eddie agrees.
And Eddie says he's already won, that Dom is coming home with him tonight. And after SummerSlam, will be forever.
Says who?
And then Miss Crabtree finally interjects herself here. And she is honestly like, you are all crazy. And she just lays it out that this fight is obviously between the two of you and has nothing to do with this child.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, she's right. Fucking Rey was sticking up for his son for a hot minute, and then he started making about how Eddie never wins to him, and I'm like, oh,
yep.
No.
Oh, dear. And so her solution is, no, Eddie, Dom is not going home with you. However, Angie and Mr. Mysterio, I'm sorry, but until you resolve this between yourselves, Dominick is going into foster care.
Fucking yeah, and Rey just gets this look on his face of, oh, I may have just fucked up.
What have I done?
Angie's over here, I think, like, legitimately crying. Like, I think Angie was just able to, like, actually work up some fucking tears with, because I saw, like, water, like, dripping from her chin, and I'm like, that she's fucking. So Rey is definitely sleeping on the couch tonight.
He's sleeping on the couch for a few weeks at minimum.
A few weeks. Even after Dom's home, it's gonna be a hot minute till he's allowed back in bed.
Right, and I thought this moment was a really good parallel of the differences between Rey and Eddie as this story. As Rey goes to like give Dom over to the social worker, he tearfully is like telling Dom, it'll be okay, I'll bring you home soon. And then Eddie, when Dom is with now Miss Crabtree, Eddie tells Dom to look over and say goodbye to Uncle Rey and Aunt Angie, because after SummerSlam, this nightmare will be over and he'll see what being a Guerrero is all about.
Yeah, Eddie's over here like, God, I'm a bastard.
Like, it's Rey, like, seeing the, like, how this this moment ends. Rey is like sad and crying over losing his son, and Eddie is still a cocky shithead about it all.
Yeah, like Rey fucked up here, but at least he can own up to it. And Eddie's just like winning.
Winning. I'm winning.
Charlie Sheen was
as
actually watching this and taking notes.
Now, the obvious subtext here that Eddie doesn't care about Dom like Rey does.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, wow,
this is
what a
all,
shock.
This, as has been obvious this whole time, this is all a fucking game to Eddie to win.
Damn, like Eddie as the deeply disturbed, psychotic, and dangerous, petulant child here is such a good act. Fuck, he plays it so well.
Mm-hmm. And then Dom. Then we get a cute moment as they walk away, and Dom turns back around and waves goodbye to his parents.
Like, yeah, they made the smart decision of not letting him say anything this time. Just hug your mom and then wave.
And then now here's the Mexicools.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back on SmackDown, the Mexicools.
Like fantastic promo. We mentioned it.
Insane.
Some of the best work of both of these men's careers.
Easy. And
now we suddenly just like have to tonal shift to the fucking Juan Deere riding jackasses.
Yeah, fucking Michael Cole and Taz have put on their serious voices again to be like, this is just so awful, so disturbing. I can't even. And then, oh, hey, the Mexicools are here riding their Juan Deeres. Look at that, Taz.
Woo! Yeah. It is Psychosis and Super Crazy are wrestling this match against Scotty 2 Hotty and William Regal.
Yeah, I guess they really wanted revenge after last time when the Mexicans clowned on them for some reason.
They show a clip from earlier backstage in the locker room, and Regal's like, you're gonna hold you ready? And Scotty's like, yeah, I'm ready. Don't worry about me. But Scotty 2 Hotty asks William Regal if he knows how to do the worm, and this was a Telltale game. I would be clear that William Regal will remember that.
Yeah, well, he walks away and they just get this great shot of William Regal going, the worm.
He's absolutely disgusted at the idea of the worm. Of him.
William Regal continues to be like the greatest treasure in all of pro wrestling.
Mm-hmm. They just kind of wrestle around for a bit.
Yeah, they say on commentary that the veterans in the SmackDown locker room haven't taken too kindly to the arrival of the Mexicools, obviously because they're taking her gerbs.
At one point, Taz suggests that the Mexicools should hook him up with a good landscaping company. He's got some work he needs done.
Oh, I missed that. Taz.
Yeah. All right.
He also said, I like juice things about Juventud, which name something that Taz can say about Juventud, but not Orange Cassidy.
Hey, he likes the juice.
Then Orange Cassidy shows up. He's like, hey, me too. And Taz like, I fucking hate that Orange Cassidy.
I now hate juice.
I know. Juice.
All right. The funny moment in this match, though, is Super Crazy goes for a splash in the corner, and he yells, Mexicools! And then Scotty moves out of the way, and Super Crazy hits his head on the turnbuckle.
God, we love a good comedy match.
Scotty 2 Hotty goes for the hot tag to Regal, and Regal just steps off the apron and leaves the match.
God damn.
Because how dare he ask him to do the worm?
Fucking goddamn. Regal's always been a snake, but he ain't no goddamn worm.
Nope. So Jehuvi interferes with Scotty, and then Psychosis hits the top rope leg drop for the win, and Regal just kind of smirking up on the ramp, watching.
Grin. What a king.
How dare fuck you, Scotty 2 Hotty. That's all Regal has to say about that.
Pretty much, yeah.
And then we cut to a quick scene backstage of Angie and Rey crying, and Rey just like tells her that he reassures his wife that he'll get Dom back.
Pretty much. And Angie, for some reason, is like not slapping the shit out of his stupid face right now.
Angie is too sad right now, I think, to like really grapple.
Grasp how Rey fucked her over.
Yeah, like she's sad and crying now. Like tomorrow morning, she's gonna be like, okay, I've calmed down enough to like slap the shit out of you for this.
I hope. I love Rey Mysterio, tied for my favorite wrestler of all time. I hope he got the shit smacked out of him for this one.
Yep, agreed. All right, so then we get Jillian Hall interview with.
Oh God! Ow! My neck! Oh, the fucking total whiplash! Oh God!
Total whiplash continues again. Whoever this guy is, I don't
watching
know.
Smackdown 2005 during this era should come with a goddamn disclaimer. Jesus Christ!
Absolutely.
For anyone you know has been injured by the total whiplash on SmackDown, call now.
You may be entitled to compensation.
The real legal shenanigans.
Yeah, so Jillian is being interviewed by some dude. I don't know who this fucking guy is.
No.
She gets asked about like, hey, so you're the fixer, and then you immediately got thrown out of the match tonight. How do you feel about that? And she starts to answer, but then she like thinks this dude is looking at her mole. Mm-hmm. And she's like, come on, get a look at it. Come on. What do you look at it?
The mole just gets worse. I swear to God, this prosthetic just gets worse every fucking time.
And I feel like somehow it is the same one every time, but
it's the exact same one.
It's getting worse.
It just like it has this effect on your eyes. Like the more times you look at it, the more your whole brain starts to just melt and can't comprehend what it's even supposed to.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
Horrible.
So she tells him to get lost.
Yeah, she's like, you were looking at it, weren't you? And he's like, yeah, it looks even fucking worse than last time. She's like, get out of here.
I was looking at it because you told me to look at it.
Yeah.
But she says she can fix this interview on her own.
Yeah, she's a fixer. She's here to fix matches. She's here to fix this
interview.
Walkity,
she says, Sharmell, you want to put your hands on Melina? I can fix that. And she proposes for next week on SmackDown, Joey Mercury and Melina versus Booker T and Sharmell, and they immediately agree that match has been made.
Yeah, okay, first of all, goddamn called it, kind of. We are getting Melina versus Sharmell in a mixed tag match. Close enough. And also, like, wait, holy shit, a match for SmackDown actually being announced a week ahead of time? What fucking sorcery is this?
Crazy. All right, so then we get they talk about Raw, and we are talking about John Cena again.
They don't talk about Raw. They fucking rap about Raw. Let me tell you.
So we get on Raw, apparently, John Cena debuted his second music video from his album, You Can't See Me, which is his rap album. And it is for the song Right Now, which is some sentimental bullshit about family and friends and yada yada, loving yada yada yadas.
Folks, believe me when I tell you, this is the most home movie ass music video you will see in your life.
They literally cut in John Cena's old home movies from when he was a child and him doing the same thing. Wrestling. Doing backyard wrestling and shit, and then him doing the same thing in the modern day in the music video.
Yes.
We get the entire fucking song and the entire fucking music video.
Oh my god. White. It's so fucking white. It's so white. These motherfuckers. I swear to God, it has to be personal symbolism. All these motherfuckers are wearing like white t-shirts. And at one point, I saw one person handing the fucking whitest ass hot dog bun, most white bread ass hot dog bun I've ever seen to someone else there. Jesus goddamn Christ!
This music video is literally just like family reunion footage.
God, this is just a family reunion. That Cena's like, all right, folks, we're gonna film my music video.
Hey, let's go. And it's
which
the
on
song
that note
is so just overly sentimental and kind of boring.
Also, there's this one shot that just had me writing down, Cena, please stop having your cousin shake her ass at the camera. This is obviously like a family reunion.
Oh yeah, they do make sure they got a couple of bars and shots that are still about like chicks and asses.
Yeah, but like one of them was like in the driveway of like his.
Oh yeah, in the driveway doing some club and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck?
Clearly your cousin. please stop telling her to shake her ass at the camera. Everybody's uncomfy.
Like, please
Nobody
stop
liked that.
Now this video sucked ass, and
so ratchet, dude.
and we had to watch it.
Whack.
And then,
yeah.
Oh god, the whiplash again as Chris Benoit comes out. Nothing says family friendly and quite like Chris Benoit.
Oh, my favorite family. Yeah, he comes out, and then, okay, Austin, help me out here. Who the fuck is Simon Dean?
I definitely have mentioned Simon Dean once before, but this is our first time seeing this beautiful, beautiful gimmick. And, okay.
Who the fuck is this
guy? So, Simon Dean is a wrestler. His gimmick is he is a fitness instructor from an infomercial. And he has the Simon system to help you get fit.
And he like a whole ass purple tracksuit, and it's like the tracksuit has his face on the back of it, and it says Dean. And what the fuck?
It is
like a fucking like perm.
2005 continues to be the wildest year in the history of wrestling.
What is happening?
So Simon Dean comes out and just starts cutting a promo about how clearly Chris Benoit has never hit the weights. Rabid Wolverine, more like flabby Wolverine. And they cut to the incredibly cut and roided out Chris Benoit,
who just has a look of sheer hoomst on his face.
He also gets in a good bit of, I bet you don't eat healthy. I mean, how could you with that missing tooth of yours?
And like, he kind of gives this like corny ass smile afterwards, like he dropped a great little like one-liner. just comes out and has the audacity to start blatantly like falsely body shaming Chris Benoit, and Benoit's just standing here like, who, and I cannot stress this enough, the fuck
are you? So, Benoit just kind of kicks his ass.
Shockingly, Benoit doesn't apparently take too kindly to having his workout ethic questioned.
No, he doesn't. At one point in the match, Taz and Cole say Chris Benoit is Smash Mouth personified, which I was like, So, I mean, somebody once told Benoit the world was going to roll him. I mean, he definitely isn't the sharpest tool in the shed.
See, you caught that. What I caught was at one point fucking Taz goes, yeah, Simon Dean, it's a funny name. And Cole comes back with, why is it a funny name? Taz isn't really a household name either, you know? Like, Cole just fucking turned to Taz and verbally bitch slapped him for making fun of Simon Dean's name.
Well, I mean, as we would then
murder.
And then as we would learn immediately after this bit, Michael Cole is talking about how he uses the Simon system. He's been getting swole on the Simon system.
And then I think Taz makes a crack about blemishes that I swear to God is meant to be a callback to Jillian Hall again, because Taz just can't keep it in his pants. And at this point, Taz and Cole are just cracking up on commentary.
They are popping themselves. That is all they're doing here.
These two are like the kids that sit together and like sit next to each other in fucking like 4th grade and are like they're just the two that will like side talk as much as they can. They're always cracking up, and their teacher just fucking hates them because they will never shut up. These two need to be separated. They need to be put at separate tables. Their chairs need to be spaced out. It's too dangerous to keep them sitting together.
Yeah. And then Benoit wins, LOL. Cole with a good line where he says, Simon says, tap out.
Yeah. So that happens, and shock of all shocks, Benoit wins.
Yeah, and then we get the final match of the evening, the 6th whole match, guys. That's twice as many as last week.
I know. What the fuck? Man, maybe that's why I just had matches to speed shit along.
Hey, Christian versus Batista. Christian opens the match going for a lockup, and he like tries to push Batista back into the ropes, and Batista just doesn't move. And it is at this point Taz on commentary suggests that maybe they need to get one of those Juan Deers back, and maybe that'll help push Batista back.
I think it's just that a few Juan Deers were necessary for this task.
Mm-hmm. The match is like mostly Batista kicking ass. Like,
yeah, pretty
Christian
much.
gets in moments, but also this match is all about talking about how much it's like a perfect physical specimen, the likes of which you've never seen before, is Batista.
Much. And like, he is quite the muscly boy, but like, goddamn.
Like, calm down a little bit.
Yeah, no. But also, fucking Austin started this match by with cruel irony pointing out, like, hey, we haven't really gotten any JBL this episode, and I kind of brought a smile to myself and like, hey, yeah, you're right. We get a week off from JBL. That's nice.
No,
well,
I should have known better. Batista sets up for the Batista bomb, and then here comes JBL to ruin everything. They have the world's slowest punch back and forth as the ref calls for the DQ. Then they go to the outside. JBL grabs a chair, hits Batista in the face, then throws him back in the ring, hits him with the chair a couple more times in the back, then hits him in the face with the chair, and then SmackDown ends with JBL standing over Batista and doing his stupid fucking longhorn pose.
He really thought he had something going there. Now, I was having such a nice episode.
Yeah, but so I skimmed through that entire bit because I don't care.
Yeah, so stupid.
Yeah, so this episode was dumb in a good way.
Yes,
as a lot of 2005 has been. But it was also what the fuck is happening a lot.
It was also fucking dumb.
Yep. But a fun time, I think.
I would say here. So. This was not a painful watch. The Ray Eddie shit was like legitimately awesome. God damn, the performances from these two men just knocked out of the fucking park. And everything else was just, man, this is goofy, but none of it sticks around for too fucking long, and what is there is just fun to riff on, so sure, why not?
Yep. So the stage is set for us now. Next time we are here for in this arc, we will be at SummerSlam 2005.
It's time for the ladder match that Ray commissioned for some fun. That's the best part. They're still going. Like, Dominick got taken away from them, and the fucking social work lady was like, yeah, what the fuck? And they're still going ahead with this match. Like, neither of them stopped to question, like, oh yeah, maybe actually this isn't such a great idea. No, they're still going ahead with it.
Fuck that. We're still gonna have the match.
I guess once you say it, you can't take it back. Them's the rules.
Yeah.
Teddy Long's got to book this shit yesterday, player.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that is for a future episode. What are we doing next time on this podcast? I'll be honest, up until about like this afternoon, I had planned that what we were gonna do is, as a counter to how we watched the last episode, the episode of Raw that simulcast with the last episode of Nitro, that we would watch the last episode of Nitro. But I thought to myself, I don't know if we have the right emotional connection to WC. I don't know if we've seen enough WCW for that to really hit the same. So I have decided that for next time, we are going to take a deep dive. We're going to do a dive into a new wrestling company that we have never watched before on this podcast.
Ooh.
And this is a wrestling company that's really fucking dumb. And I've always wanted to see how dumb it is. So in the aftermath between WCW failing and TNA rising up, there were, I don't know what you thought I was going to say.
I thought you were going to say CYN.
No.
I was like, you motherfucker.
Never. So in the in between of WCW ending and TNA starting, there were, companies popped up to try to be like all the WCW guys that WWE didn't want. They still were out there. Mm-hmm. So wrestling companies like popped up for a minute there. And one of them was supposed to be Hulk Hogan's big new project. I present to you next week, we are going to be watching the first episode of the lost episodes of the XWF.
Oh my fucking God. I think I've heard of this in like hushed whispers across the IWC. Oh no.
But I've
knowing that
it's
a Hogan Helm project is what I feel like already this poses a great philosophical question of what happens when Hogan is the man at the top and has no one above him to tell them that it doesn't work for him, brother.
Who does Hogan say this doesn't work for me, brother, to? Who does he say it to?
It's the story of a mad king and his grand fall, for he had no idea where to direct his lack of working, brother.
Hogan sat down and wept, for he had no more politics to conquer.
Oh yeah, baby. This one's gonna be a fucking good one.
Yep, so next time we'll watch the first episode of the XWF, brother.
Holy shit, man. Oh boy.
Yeah, but that is for next time. Until then, David, hit our plugs.
Yes, sir. Dear friends, thank you all so much for giving us yet another wonderful listen of the Noobs and Knockouts podcast. We are so delighted to have you all here. Hey, returning listeners, viewers, what have you, you know the drill. Thanks so much for once again welcoming us back into your eardrums, your eyeballs, whatever it is you use to consume our content. We are so delighted to have you here. Hey, new people, how's it going? Welcome. We here at the Noobs and Knockouts podcast like to think we are friendly to both noobs and knockouts alike. So whether you're brand new to the wild, wacky world of wrestling, or you're a veteran of the weird bullshit, either way, we hope you've had a great time here. We hope you want to keep having a great time with us week after week after week. If you would like to do so but you're not entirely sure how, well, not to worry, my friends, I have you covered. First of all, you can find us on YouTube. We are the Noobs and Knockouts podcast on YouTube. Hit subscribe, ring that bell, make sure it turns a nice little solid color so you get notifications every single time we drop a brand new episode. Make sure to check out all of our playlists. Austin has been kind enough to organize all the arcs and shit that we follow into their own playlist, so you can follow something all the way down without having to skip around a whole lot. It's a great time, and just give us that sweet engagement. And we got video going up on the YouTube too, like you see our pretty faces, and it's a good time. But hey, if you're a fan of the audio only version, we understand. We got you there too. The Noobs and Knockouts podcast can be found on 3 of the best places to find your audio only podcast, which of course would be Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. Come check us out there. Listen to us, download us, maybe drop us a nice little 5-star rating and a nice little review that says, hey, these guys are pretty cool. Maybe you want to check them out. I don't know. I'm just saying. Whatever it is, greatly appreciated. Come check us out over there. However, you can also get in contact with us all across the interwebs. Ain't that cool? First and foremost, of course, is our Twitter. You can find us on Twitter at Noobs and Knox Pod on Twitter. That's at Noobs, the letter N, Knox Pod on Twitter. Come check us out there. It's a great time. We post memes. We engage in discourse. We post every single time we drop a brand new episode so you guys know what the hell's going on. And of course, the highlight of our Twitter is weekly wrestling live tweeting. Austin has been taking a break from his regular weekly wrestling watching.
I will be back soon.
You will be back soon. Oh shit! I knew Ruby coming back. I knew it would get you.
Oh yeah, that was what was bringing me back here.
Absolutely.
I am the last Ruby Soho stan. One day she will win a title, and I will be the most excited.
You made me a convert too. I believe one day. Yeah. So anyway, but until then, I have been running the live tweeting over on the Twitter every Wednesday night, or at least every Wednesday night I can make it at 8 p.m. on TBS. We're watching what else? AEW Dynamite. It's a good fucking time. We just like to have fun. I'm over there watching with my roomies, tweeting my observations, sometimes stealing their observations and tweeting them out too. And usually their observations get more liked than me because they're funnier. I don't know what to tell you. But hey, it's a great time. And hey, if I'm feeling really spicy, I'll fucking on Friday nights at 10 p.m. over on TNT, I'll even live tweet AEW Rampage. And of course, on top of all that, on top of my live tweeting of the weekly shows, Austin, of course, has always kept up his diligent work checking out and live tweeting the pay-per-views of all the major companies. My friend, what is on the docket coming up?
Sure. So it's going to be a hot minute before anything comes up, but
hell yeah.
We on January 13th is Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill.
Ooh.
We will have Josh Alexander wrestling Bully Ray for the World Championship. That's something that's happening. However, interesting match here. Jordan Grace, the current Knockouts World Champion, the truest muscle mommy of wrestling, if I may say so, versus Mickie James. You know Mickie James, legend.
Oh yeah.
In a title versus career match for the Knockouts World Championship.
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah. Then next up on January 28th is the Royal Rumble. Let's get ready to rumble. Please don't sue me, Michael Buffer. As 30 men and 30 women will enter, and the winner of each match will be given a chance at a world championship at WrestleMania 39.
God damn, that's a lot of WrestleManias, dude.
It is, and I've watched all of them. And then for AEW on March 5th is Revolution, coming at you live from San Francisco, out in California. Obviously too early to have any matches for that, but we'll be keeping you updated as that changes.
Absolutely. So come check us out on the Twitter, guys. It's a great time over there. If for some reason you like hearing us ramble about wrestling for 2 hours at a time over here, you'll like it over on Twitter. The voices carry over. We like to have fun there. So come check us out at Noobs and Knockouts.
We have fun.
We like to have fun. But of course, if you want to get in super direct contact with us, you got options there too. You can hit us up at our email address. We got an email address. Ain't that nifty? You can hit us up at our email address, noobsandknockoutspod@gmail.com. That's noobs, the word and, knockoutspod@gmail.com. Come say hi to us there. Tell us what you think about the show. Give us requests for what you want to see us cover on the show. Tell us how based and red pill our hot takes are, or how stupid you think we are. Start discourse. Say hi. We would love to say hi back. noobsandknockoutspod@gmail.com. And of course, finally, you can also find us on Patreon. We are also the Noobs and Knockouts Podcast on Patreon. The link for that is in our Twitter. $1 a month gets you early access to episodes and a shout out at the end of each episode. Shout out, of course, as always, to friend of the show, the Sugar Daddy, Kyle Smith, for his donation. Enjoy your perks, buddy. If you want to enjoy your perks along with our boy Kyle, Noobs and Knockouts Podcast on Patreon. Link is in the Twitter.
See you all next time.
Hasta luego.